Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving into one of the most intense and shocking transformations in The Bold and the Beautiful, the dark evolution of Hope Logan. Once known as a beacon of kindness, Hope has taken a drastic turn ever since Steffi fired her, and her growing hatred for the Forrester family is leading her down a dangerous path. As Carter considers returning Forrester creations to Ridge, Hope is determined to stop him, driven by a vengeance that seems almost uncontrollable. But what happens when Taylor, a seasoned psychiatrist, starts to notice troubling signs in Hope's behavior? Could Hope's mental state be spiraling beyond her control? And if she is truly suffering from a psychological disorder, will she accept help, or will she fight to keep her power, no matter the cost? Let's break it all down. Ever since Steffi made the fateful decision to remove Hope from Forrester Creations, something in Hope snapped. At first, it seemed like simple disappointment, a professional setback that anyone in her position would feel. But as time passed, her resentment only grew, turning into something much darker. The Hope Logan that once stood for love, family, and integrity was fading, replaced by a woman fueled by vengeance. She no longer saw Steffi as just a rival, but as an enemy who had stolen everything from her. And it wasn't just Steffi. Hope's anger extended to the entire Forrester family. In her eyes, they had always looked down on her, treated her as an outsider, and now they had taken away her legacy. If she couldn't have Forrester Creations, then she would make sure the Forrester family suffered just as she had. At first, her transformation was subtle. She became more withdrawn, more calculated in her interactions. She wasn't the same hopeful, forgiving woman who once believed in second chances. Instead, she started to see everything as a battle, a war in which she had to emerge victorious. Her relationship with Carter became more strategic. He was no longer just a romantic partner, but a crucial piece in her plan to hold on to power. Hope knew that if Carter decided to return Forrester Creations to Ridge, her last chance at keeping control would be gone. And she wasn't about to let that happen. Carter, on the other hand, was torn. Deep down, he knew that Forrester Creations rightfully belonged to Ridge and Eric. The company had been built by the Forrester family, and despite all the recent power struggles, returning it to them felt like the right thing to do. He had considered Hope's position, but something about the way she was acting unsettled him. She wasn't just upset, she was obsessed. Every conversation they had revolved around getting revenge on Steffi, making the Forresters suffer, and ensuring that they never regained control. It wasn't just about business anymore, it was personal. Hope's descent into darkness didn't go unnoticed, and it was Taylor who first saw the warning signs. As a psychiatrist, Taylor had spent her career analyzing human behavior, and something about Hope's demeanor struck her as deeply troubling. There was an intensity in Hope's eyes, a coldness in her voice that wasn't there before. Taylor had seen this kind of behavior before: obsession, paranoia, and an inability to let go of perceived injustices. It was more than just anger. It was a psychological shift that, if left unchecked, could become dangerous. When Taylor interacted with Hope, she noticed that Hope's responses were often detached from reality. She spoke about the Forresters as if they were villains in a story she had written in her mind, completely disregarding any facts that contradicted her narrative. She refused to acknowledge any fault of her own, instead placing all the blame on Steffi, Ridge, and even Eric. Hope wasn't just angry, she was convinced that she was on a righteous path, and nothing anyone said would change that. Concerned, Taylor reached out to Carter. She didn't want to overstep, but as someone who had spent years helping people through psychological struggles, she couldn't ignore what she was seeing. She told Carter that Hope was displaying clear signs of mental instability, paranoia, obsessive thoughts, and a growing detachment from reality. If they didn't intervene soon, Hope's condition could worsen, leading to even more destructive behavior. Carter, despite his loyalty to Hope, couldn't deny that something was wrong. He had noticed the same changes, how her anger had turned into an all-consuming hatred, how she no longer spoke about the future with hope but with revenge. But what could he do? Hope was stubborn, and if he even suggested that she needed psychological help, she would likely see it as a betrayal. Still, Taylor urged him to take action. They needed to get Hope properly diagnosed, to determine if there was an underlying mental health issue fueling her behavior. Taylor knew that untreated psychological conditions could escalate quickly, and she feared that Hope's vendetta against the Forresters could push her to a breaking point. Carter finally decided to confront Hope. It was one of the hardest conversations he had ever had. He gently told her that he was worried about her, that he had noticed she wasn't herself lately. He suggested that she see a doctor, not because he thought she was crazy, but because he cared about her well-being. But Hope didn't take it well. She was furious, seeing his suggestion as an insult, an attack on her character. She accused him of siding with the Forresters, of trying to control her just like everyone else. She refused to listen to reason, insisting that she was perfectly fine and that Taylor was simply trying to manipulate the situation to help Steffi. Hope's refusal to acknowledge her condition put Carter in an impossible position. He knew he couldn't force her to seek help, but he also couldn't ignore what was happening. And there was another issue. If Hope refused treatment, then she would continue down this destructive path. If that happened, how could he, in good conscience, allow her to remain in power? The more Carter thought about it, the clearer it became. He couldn't let Hope continue running Forrester Creations. Not only was it unethical, but it was also dangerous. Hope was making decisions fueled by anger, not logic, and if she was suffering from an untreated psychological disorder, it would only get worse. But Hope knew what Carter was thinking. She could see it in his eyes. And that terrified her. If Carter decided to walk away, if he chose to return Forrester Creations to Ridge, then she would lose everything. The power, the control, the chance to make the Forresters pay. She couldn't let that happen. And so, Hope found herself at a crossroads. Would she fight against Carter, refusing to let go of her anger and vengeance? Or would she finally acknowledge that something was wrong and seek help before it was too late? One thing was certain. If Hope didn't make the right choice soon, she might lose not just Forrester Creations but everything, including herself. That's it for today's deep dive into the bold and the beautiful. Hope's transformation has been one of the most shocking storylines in recent history, and her growing instability is setting the stage for some explosive confrontations. Will Carter be able to help her before it's too late? Will Taylor's intervention make a difference? Or will Hope's thirst for revenge consume her completely? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.